everyone. Welcome to Arcana Homesteading. We're your hosts, Jerry.
And Shauna.
I still say we need like a jingle.
We're going to do one eventually. You know, it's almost been 2 years, but I feel like by the third year we'll have it all together. You know?
We're going to do a jingle. We've been talking about it for 2 years. 2 fucking years.
You've been talking about it. I've been doing my own jingle in my head every time.
Do you?
I think most people do that.
I don't think so. You're the only one.
Holy crap. Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're going to talk about 4-H and FFA today.
Yes. Great topics. Usually associated with homesteading.
I think a lot of homesteaders want their kids. It's a good way to learn about animals through somebody else, because there's a project leader.
Besides your parents.
Right? Besides, it's a good way to learn new things. And and there's so many different projects that you can get into. It's not just animal related. So it kind of does go hand in hand. There's even a homesteading project.
I know, yeah, super cute.
So, in 4-H at least. So FFA runs a little bit differently. We're going to talk about both. So, anywho, Sherry and I were involved with both FFA and 4-H. We were in FFA, and then we had our children in 4-H. We were both clover bud leaders and goat leaders.
Yeah.
So, dairy goat specifically. Anyways, so it does... I know we've said on here before, and if you're like a regular listener, you have probably heard us say how we hate 4-H. And we don't hate it for like all like the running.
All the learning, like all the learning aspects and what your kids get out of it. Like that's all like amazing and
super fun.
Swell and dandy, but it's like the political side and super just like want. And there's a lot of talking and like the record books. That's just not my jam, though.
Right.
And I know for a lot of people, though, it is, and they don't mind sitting through hours of lecturing. And I think it's just in my perspective, as my kids got older, my boys specifically, I was like, okay, this is like a huge waste of time, and then they fucking hated it.
Yeah, like I don't want to do anything where my kids hate it.
I mean, no.
So it is when we say political, we're not like they're all a bunch of whatever. Like, we don't, like, they're... No,
not political
We're
that
talking
way.
About, like, the bureaucratic, like, red tape that's involved, and not just, like... And they teach the kids, which some people appreciate. Like, when you're in a meeting,
they teach them all the bureaucratic stuff.
It runs like a very... structured meeting for the older kids once you're like with 8 years old and up. With lots of rules and like and there's a president and there's a vice president and like and so it does teach the kids. I don't know. I'm like stuttering over my words because like I hate it so much, but I don't even like regular. I hate that part. I don't like regular meetings though. You know what I'm saying?
Like, well, Sean and I always say like, you know what? If it's a meeting, you can just email me. Yeah. Just email me all the necessary
information that you're going to say. You can just email.
Like, do I really need to sit here face to face with you? It's like, I mean, it's a huge waste of my time. It's a huge waste of your time. You could type an email. You could send it to 100 people, and then you're done. Boom.
You're done.
It takes you what?
You're done.
5-10 minutes.
And then nobody has to listen to dumb questions that are being asked for.
Thank you, because that's most of what a meeting is, right? Just like people not understanding things. It has to be explained. I mean, the 4-H, like, oh my fucking forget it. Things take so long for just one very simple thing. And again, I know a lot of people would argue, oh, well, that's good for your kids to learn and blah, blah. And
is it?
My opinion, but I mean, I just don't care if my kids
if you're getting into some kind of government,
but would they know that
job,
are they going to know?
Then maybe, that would be great for them. But if they're not planning on that, then like, why? But that's really the only part that I dislike about the 4-H, and FFA.
Yeah,
the rest of it is great. So if you're like can overlook that part, our light just fell down. It's fine. Sherry's gonna pick it up.
Bad.
I have to like hurdle myself over things, and I'll definitely break something else. Anyway, so I got a little bit dark. We're setting the mood, ambiance. Anywho, I don't know why you have to move those. Yeah, we're kind of a calamity. So yeah. We're in a very small room and it's the kids' room, like at my mom's house. So like she has like it's like board games and little tiny chairs and just like fucking shit everywhere. And so when we have to come in, we podcast once a week or whatever, it can get tricky with everything. but it's like literally, I guess, anyways, you guys don't care. Just our, technical stuff behind the scenes. Nobody cares about. We don't have like a fancy room that's just set up just for podcasting.
Oh my God, that'd be so nice.
We don't have that.
As nice as that would be.
That would be nice.
We do not have
and when you watch other podcasts and people are like sitting on the couch and like talking to each other, or they're sitting in like.
Where are the rest of your people that live there?
But no,
did you kick them out?
Where are they?
Like, I don't know where they are.
No, I know.
It's not crazy.
But like, you don't have like a pile of laundry on that chair. Like, I would be
like,
sitting on a pile of laundry.
Where is your laundry chair?
Where is it?
Well, you have one.
And then like you
don't have one.
Like, this is why we have this up, so you don't have to see. Not because we're trying to like hide that, because we always talk about how we're like, our lives are chaotic. And there's a bunch of shit behind the curtain. Behind the curtain, there's shit. And then, but it's just because it gets distracting when you're trying to watch somebody talk and there's like a bunch of shit going on.
Right.
So I'm just trying not to distract you. We're not trying to hide the facts. I mean, I can open the curtain right now for you if you want. It's a lot of food storage,
Yeah. I 100% agree with you with the whole podcasting thing. You watch these people podcast, you're like, I'm confused. Where are all the people that live in your home with you? Do you have do you just,
like,
is it just you in your house?
The studio is confusing me.
It's truly confusing me. Thank you.
House.
In a studio, great. Yes, you rented the space or you have an agreement with whatever owner. Great, I understand that. But like a house on a couch? I'm confused. I'm very confused. Because that could never. Where are all your animals?
Where do you keep your house
Don't
chickens?
You have house chickens? A house goat, maybe? Like don't you have those things? Kids?
And like that would be so distracting for me. Like we have to come in and shut a door.
I don't care what and you guys know, if you're listeners that have been here long, you know our kids interrupt us at least once per episode. At least once per episode, right? So it's like, can you imagine not having a door to like the room that we were podcasting in?
You guys would hear a lot that you wouldn't want to. That's for sure. You guys would be like, wow, there's talk about distracting. Okay, you're like, forget about the shit behind you,
like,
behind
how
the curtain.
Do that?
I don't know. Weird. It's so weird to me. Anyways, this is
maybe the kids are in school. That's why I just had an epiphany. Obviously, they do when their kids are in school. They're like they're away.
I always forget that.
Yeah, I know. Mine are like constantly connected like fucking leeches to me. You know what I mean? Yeah. So,
anywho.
Yeah.
So we wanted to do this episode for if you were kind of like on the fence about 4-H or FFA,
or maybe you don't know anything about it.
Know anything about it. Yes. So the best way to find out. So there's different groups. What are they called? They're not a group. Like.
Yeah,
Latrobe Outlanders.
Yeah, it's a group. There's different.
No, there's like they're called something. Boop 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 in different areas. No, okay. Anyways.
Okay, so I'm gonna forewarn you preemptively. I've had no sleep for the past 3 nights, so if you're looking to me for words or ideas,
got it.
This is all you today.
Okay.
You're gonna talk. I'm just gonna throw some things in there. I'm gonna be like, yeah.
So we're just,
listen to her. I agree with that.
It's gonna be a hot mess.
That's what we're doing because. No sleep. I got 2 babies. I got an infant human.
We should take down the curtain.
I got I got a baby goat, and she's like, feed me. And I just, no sleep. There's no sleep. Running on fumes, people. Running on fumes.
I hate that.
Help me. No, it's an awful feeling.
Really
like a fog, you know. And you have to do things though. You must continue to function. For all the children, for all the animals, I just go through zombie making chicken nuggets. Who wants that? What do you want? It's just like, it's so awful. And just like that, you can't even feel like you can smile because your eyes are watering so much or being so sleepy.
I hate that.
Yeah.
All I can say is this too shall pass.
Yeah, I know. I've been here before. It's good.
Anywho, so Sherry, so getting back to, if you're looking for a local, like 4-H group, you can, like, look on the 4-H website, or you can just, like, you know how on Facebook there's always, like, a local community page?
Yeah. Someone on there will know
somebody
about
on
your local group.
The group closest to you.
Yes.
Okay. And there's usually a couple, especially if you're in like a rural area, there will be a couple different groups to choose from, and each group is going to run a little bit differently.
Yes, because you have each group running by, there's different people running each group.
Yes.
And while they have to abide by certain standards and stuff and whatever codes of conduct, it's still going to be exactly. Think of that.
Yeah,
like every McDonald's is run differently, right?
Some
McDonald's, you pull up, your cheeseburger is perfect. Other McDonald's, you show up, you're like, this is shit.
Exactly.
Okay?
So sometimes
fair warning.
If you go into one club, it's a club. That's what it was.
You didn't even need me for that. Like, look at you. Look at you.
Okay, so you go to one club, okay, and maybe it's the closest one to you, and you are like, I do not like the vibe of this.
Yeah.
Or you didn't get along with somebody. Go try another one before you just call it quits. Because if it is something that your kids really want to do or you want to look at more into. So don't think like the one club, that's how everything is ran all the time.
Yeah.
Like we said, it definitely is more structured. Obviously, Sherry and I aren't the structured kind of gals. The fact that we are in 4-H at all amazes me all the time. So we ran.
I know. I look back and it's kind of like weird.
Okay, so how we got out of doing the club, like the traditional meetings, like I second this and all the boring stuff, is we were the Cloverbud leaders. And so while the boring meetings going on, we have all the little itty bitty kids that come with siblings or mini members. So mini members
they want to be involved still, but they can't sit through the boring ass meeting.
And we did like activities and crafts. It was always fun. We were always making food and sprinkles and everything.
Yes.
Like, because that's what Sherry and I are about, right? Yeah. We're like, we want all the fun packed into.
We'll give you activities and food any day.
They were actually really sad when we were leaving. They were like, you were the best Cloverbud leaders. Can you come back? And we're like, no, we can't. You guys are boring.
Well, actually, we kind of couldn't because our kids were, like, outgrowing it.
Yeah.
Like, I know, like, my boys already were, and Lorenzo would try to sneak back there, and then Mom would always come back. You have to be in this meeting. I'm like, hey, Mom, he's fine. He doesn't really have to be. Yeah. He's technically present, right?
Yeah.
So, like, he's good. He's good. Yeah. But they hated it. They would always sneak back to be like, Mom, can we be back here with you? I'm like, yeah, I don't care.
Yeah. And so we always did, like, the fun things with the little kids in the back. And the parents were always really appreciative because, obviously, it's, like, free daycare, right? Because, like, we're doing all this fun stuff. Their kids are entertained and their older kids are in the meeting.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyways, it did work out beautifully. But not every club has a Cloverbud. But you can always run so you can be like, hey, I want to my kid, I have a little one, but I also have an older one interested in 4-H. I'm going to run the Cloverbuds during the club meetings.
Exactly. And just take it on
yourself. You can always volunteer.
That's exactly how we did it.
Exactly. Because like we had little kids and we're like,
the club, I had little kids, Sean had little kids, and we're like, well, we're going to run a Cloverbud program because that's what we're doing.
Yeah. And it was a lot of fun while it lasted, for sure. And we did a great job.
We did
myself on the back.
Boop, boop, boop.
So anywho, but there are numerous projects, and even if that project isn't available at that club, it could be available at a different club if you're looking for something specific. And when I say projects,
I was going to say, the project refers to Cloverbuds, large dairy goats, mini dairy goats,
meat
goats, archery, sewing, homesteading. It's whatever specific thing your kid wants to do, they call that their project.
Arts and crafts.
Now, they can be involved in more than one project, of course, right? So typically, in order to like our up here where we are, and I don't know if this is across the board. Again, you have to look at the rules. I'm not sure if it's just rules for us, but for our kids to be able to show at the fair, at our county fair, they have to attend a certain number of meetings, a certain percentage of meetings.
It's across the board.
Yeah, because they're not going to let just some kid come in, attend one meeting a year, and he goes to the fair. Like, they're trying to keep it like, no, because we want to see you working throughout the year on this animal you're bringing to the fair.
And there's different,
chickens, rabbits, guinea pigs. I mean, you name it.
Anything that you see at a county fair.
There's a project.
There's a project for that in 4-H. Even in like when you're going and they're getting judged in like the the little art like.
Yeah, that's 4-H.
Like how to set up a table.
Or some of them are 4-H.
There's 4-H projects for everything.
Yeah. How to set a table.
Yeah, table setting.
That's crazy.
I know.
Lost art for sure.
For sure.
I don't want to say lost art. I sound old. Dad said that. Dad said something the other day about something being a lost art. Oh, humble. Like, how to be humble. I'm like, no, it's not, Dad. I'm humble. The fuck? What? And then I'm like, my kids are humble. They're not going around bragging about how they can stand on a horse and like I can do a fucking tailor on a horse and all this other bullshit, right? Like, they're humble.
And so I understand that being humble is necessary at times, but it's also necessary to be proud of yourself.
I was trying to.
So that's like the thing is like being humble and then being like, oh,
confident though.
Yeah. Yes.
I was trying to explain, and I did a good job of explaining the difference to Legend because.
Speaking of humble.
So, because Dad is saying humble, and he's giving him this description, and basically saying, like, you should never, ever, ever, like, basically, you shouldn't be confident, essentially, is what Dad was saying. So I was like, well, there's a line here. There's a line here. It's like, you can be humble, but your confidence is very, very important. That's what will carry you through your entire life.
Yes.
And so I was explaining it to Legend, and he was like, okay. And he said something cute.
Like, instead of being like, oh, God, I'm fucking awesome at this. You guys fucking suck. Like, obviously.
Not only humble, but so rude, right? So rude. No, that's, but, no,
like,
no, we don't act like that.
When you win something and, like, being, yes. And everyone's clapping for you, you can be like, oh, yeah, I am really proud of myself. That's awesome.
Yes.
And that you guys did a really good job.
But you did a really good job.
Whatever.
I love this, what you did.
Constructive criticism.
Exactly,
like,
exactly.
It's all about, like, how you say it.
And then Dad said, like, it's kind of a lost, I think he called it a lost art. And I was like, what are you talking about? I know plenty of people that are humble that are younger than me. You know what I mean? Like, it's not lost. What are you talking about? It's just so weird. I was like, you're weird and old, and you...
It's a generational thing, because people are becoming, like, more confident because they're having better upbringings, right?
Yes, definitely.
They're being raised at a higher, like, the higher standard, for lack of a better phrase. Then they're, than they were. And so, like, with that comes a lot of confidence. And that's not a bad thing. No, it's just different generations. And so Dad's looking at it as, like, people are losing that, like, being humble. And I don't think so. People are just more confident, like we were saying.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's definitely not a bad thing. So, being proud of your kids and not being like, well, you could have done a better job. Like, that's the worst thing. That's the worst thing.
It's weird to me. It's weird. Because here's the thing.
You're like, oh, you got fifth. You should have got first.
Here's the thing.
Like, there's only one winner. Like, that whole thing, there's only one winner.
Okay,
like,
so...
talk about, like, fucking up your kids, first of all. Like...
Okay, so, but here's the thing, and I never understand why parents do that, because in the end result is your kid's turning into an adult, none of it fucking matters.
None of it fucking
All that matters is that your kid goes out and has a great time, you have a great time with them, you cheer them on, great experiences, some friends, living in the moment, having a great time, you know what I mean? And then that's it. That's it. My boys played competitive soccer. They were in so many things, 4-H, FFA, so many different things, right? Boy Scouts, none of it fucking mattered. Like it mattered, but it didn't. I wasn't that parent being like, oh my God, Aiden, you only scored 2 goals. Score 4 next time.
What do the Boy Scouts do? Their little car thingies, the derby.
Oh, something derby. Yeah.
Like, your car didn't get first, Aiden. Like,
and it just like...
Way to ruin your whole life.
And that's what I'm saying. None of this matters for who they're going to become. Yeah. Like it does in one sense, but in the sense that these parents take it, and that does not matter.
Doesn't matter.
Them winning first,
there's only...
No one is getting cookies at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Okay? This doesn't... Your kid's not going on to what? Like winning... Pro championship, derby, fucking Cub Scout
winning
stuff?
Is
like,
fun,
no.
But the whole, like... Winning is fun. And
yes, of course.
But, like, you shouldn't... Yeah. I have conversations with my kids all the time about that, because I
obviously, you're doing it to a certain extent. Like, you're doing it to technically win, right? You're trying your best to win. But it's about the experiences. Mm-hmm. It's about having a great day, having a good time. Specifically, like, I don't know. I always tell our kids, like, our family, because, like, everyone comes to cheer them on. Everyone comes to watch them. And, like, that's what's fun about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
well, and just having that experience, looking back, you're
exactly.
You're going to be like, what did I win?
What did I? No, they don't remember.
You're not going to keep that ribbon.
No.
It's not going to matter.
No.
It's not going to matter.
I throw my ribbons away. They're gone. In the trash.
In the trash. Yeah, all the first place we won in, like, swim.
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't...
Like, I don't
remember.
That, like, yeah.
I know I did a really good job on some of those strokes.
Yeah.
That's all I remember, though.
That's all I remember.
I remember being like, I'm so good at the breaststroke. Exactly, you know what I mean? But, like, that was it. I don't remember, like, so how many first places I won. Like, it doesn't... stupid.
It's crazy. So, yeah, we're obviously not those parents. Getting back to 4-H. So, a project... And whatever your kids are into, and once you join a club, you have to go to 1 club meeting per month.
Yeah, so that's your entire club. So all the projects will get together in a very large space, usually like a church, some whatever that they rent out or whatever. Not rent out, the church lets them have it. And then all the projects get together, and they have this club meeting.
Area.
Yeah, exactly. And they have this club meeting, and they go over, and that was the boring meeting we were speaking about earlier.
Okay,
Their project meetings.
Once a month. So
yeah.
Some people can handle that. Like, that's only once a month. And then the project meeting are
3 times a month.
3 times per month. And so if you don't, so some, like, we did a lot of dairy goat stuff, right? And so if you didn't make enough in a year of your going to, so club meetings, you had to have however many, right? Like, it was a lot. And then the projects, like, I think it was pretty much, it was like 2 out of the 3 a month. And or I can't remember the exact
No, I think
numbers.
there's actually 4. Isn't it once a week?
So yeah, it was usually once a week.
But you have to attend.
You have to attend at least. Okay, so you have to attend at least 3, and we're saying you have to attend because then you wouldn't be able to go to your county fair and show whatever you were working on, whatever project. So it could have been dairy goats. It could have been your arts and crafts that you're going to enter into the fair. It could have been a steer, a pig, a chicken, a fucking guinea pig, a bunny. Or even they do the preserves and stuff like that, fucking cakes. It can be anything. Yeah. There's so many projects though that aren't even that have nothing to do with a county fair. There's projects what's the rocket one?
Rocketry.
Ah. And see, you have words. Rocketry.
Sewing.
That can be, you can enter that in the county fair. So there's something.
But like rocketry, you're not going to enter that, and most likely things like.
There was even the Million Trees thing, which was kind of cool, where you could join. It was a project, and they basically just go out and plant trees every meeting, and they would get a bunch of seeds or little saplings from donated to them, and they'd go around to different areas that needed trees planted and plant them. Yeah. So there's really cool projects that would be kind of fun. There's pack goats, which was super cool, where you just basically every meeting you go and you have your pack goat and you put stuff on them and you go on a hike.
Super fun.
There's so many fun things.
And the thing is, if you enter a club and let's say you're joining a club and my kid wants to do this specific project and that doesn't have that specific project, the same thing with Clover Buds earlier, you just start that project. And you don't need to know a ton, right?
You can
Google is your friend. Learn as you go with your kids. It's perfectly fine. Or you learn right before the meeting and then tell them all the shit you learned from Google right before your meeting. It's not. Don't think you had to be some professional or some.
Yeah, you're a volunteer.
You're a volunteer. You're not getting paid for this. Don't worry about it. Exactly.
So and there are specific things for when you're showing a goat and stuff looking at the judge, making eye contact, how to set up your goat. It all depends on what animal you have, but the confirmation is really important. So that all, you will learn that as you go, for definitely. Sure. So those are fun. 4-H, it runs a little bit differently in the fact that it's only for high school age children. So if you're a home...
Or below. She means FFA.
Did I say 4-H?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
FFA is run differently
Future Farmers of America.
And because it's only for high school
program.
It's high school program, so that's not anybody that's younger than high school age. Okay, so obviously high school. 4-H is 18 and below. Essentially, they can join when they're 5, I believe.
Yeah, that's the mini member.
Yeah, mini member until they're 9.
So FFA, is high school. If you're homeschooled, you might be able to join. We did a what did we do? Yes, you do.
ROP.
We had an ROP program. So our high school didn't offer an FFA program, but a high school close to us offered FFA. But we had to join an ROP program, which we joined Animal Health because that's what we were interested in at the time, which came in handy for the rest of our lives, by the way. And that's when we joined FFA. So homeschooling, depending on where you're at and where you live and your school district, some will let you join and some will not if you are homeschooled. So you have to think about that. Not that it's a huge thing because you can still be in 4-H homeschooled or not.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and it is basically, obviously there's more older kids but there's a lot of both in 4-H.
Yeah,
there's a ton of.
Yeah, varied, for sure.
So, which is kind of cool. If you want to show and you are above that 18 range, you can always show as an independent person. We have a baby coming in.
Shoot, I didn't change her diaper before. Oh no. Oh, you did. Thank you. Was it?
Buddy. You changed the baby. What a good cousin. Yeah, you have a good cousin. Yeah, that's exciting. So anyway, there is a lot to think about before you get into 4-H, but it can be a lot of fun. So the one thing we did want to mention is because when kids are first getting involved with 4-H or FFA, they kind of go for the meat projects, whether it's a steer or a pig or a sheep or a meat goat. They go for those because, people are like, oh, I made however much money last year off of my steer, after when I sold it at auction. And they're like, oh, money signs in their brain. They're like, that sounds cool. I want to do that. Or that's, their friends are doing a sheep and, they made however much money, so they want to do that too. So the thing about that is if your kid has never been involved in processing animals on your homestead or, bonding with an animal and then having to say goodbye to that animal.
Not just goodbye, but knowing that it's going to be slaughtered.
It's going to be slaughtered.
Yeah.
It is so traumatic. Mm-hmm. And this is very controversial because some parents think...
Isn't it all?
Yeah. Some people think it's like so great for their kids to have that experience and to be like, we bonded with this thing and now it's getting ripped away from me and it's going to go die. I don't know why that would be a good experience, but some people say it is. So,
we love trauma.
Yeah. So whatever, and Sherry and I were vegetarian / vegan, like whatever. So obviously we have a different outlook on this. So don't come after us. We're not like trying to be all like,
I mean, you can.
Yeah, for sure. We'll
go for it. You ain't changing my mind, though.
Yeah, not only are you not changing our minds, but we will absolutely have something else to say. And we might even say it, on our next podcast, so do as you will. Anywho, so the thing about it is it's different if your kids are raised on a homestead and in that environment where they are helping to process those pigs already, those goats, those sheep. They are involved completely, okay? When you give a kid a sheep, and they've never experienced that. And not only are they given that sheep, but then they have to work with that sheep, right? Because they need to show it. So it has to be friendly. So that means a bond between that child and that animal. And then you go from having this bond, this great bond, the sheep follows them everywhere in the pasture and they love that, and the kids having a great time. You're taking all these pictures and posting them on Facebook. And then you get to the show and there's no like ifs, ands, or buts. Like once you're there, somebody can't buy that sheep if you're thinking about it. No, somebody will just buy it and they give it back to them. They cannot do that. It's like against the rules now.
Like every single animal, once it comes into, besides dairy and besides like what the fuck ever else is not meat.
And like,
okay. Yeah. So besides those animals, every other animal that is for meat, and that's like the purpose of it, it will go on the slaughter truck. That is how it's leaving the fairgrounds. And at least that's the rules up here where we are at. I don't know. You'd have to obviously delve deeper and check out if that's the rules where you're at.
Well,
I'm assuming
it is,
though.
the highest bidder. So if somebody else outbids your friend,
Exactly.
Anyway,
so
the rules are
under your control.
Yeah.
And
so we've seen every single fair we've been to.
Just so sad.
There's multiple kids screaming and crying
as their pig or their sheep is taken away from them,
and it's just so heartbreaking. Yeah. It gives me goosebumps to think about. So,
piece of sausage.
Okay.
So
you keep talking.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give her
anyway. Don't trip over that stuff. I don't know how you're gonna get over that. Like we said, we have a small room. We have lots of things going on. Lots of wires. Lots of couches. Don't unplug that with your foot. Thank you. Anywho, so like I said, if they're not used to doing that on your farm, and because once you say like, oh well, and they're like, oh no, I'll be fine. It's a sheep. They haven't had that. They haven't bonded with that animal yet. Right now it's just an animal to them. They don't know. But once they get it, and it's usually from a baby, and they start bonding with it, I promise you, it will completely. They will bond with it. It will completely change them. And it is very traumatic. So I would definitely recommend at least starting off with a project where that animal won't go to slaughter. So that is your dairy goats, your like guinea pigs, bunny projects, pack goats. I'm trying to think of other things. There even some of the fowl, the chicken. So sometimes like they do go to meat and sometimes they don't. So it depends on which project you pick. So there's definitely things you can look into, and your kid can start off with like a really good, like, oh, I'm doing dairy goats, I'm going to whatever. And that's how we got into it, because originally when we started, we thought we had to do a meat project to go into FFA, and they're like, oh no, you can do dairy, and we are kind of like, I think we're like the only ones doing dairy at that time. Now it's like, at least in our area, now it's like huge. And everybody does fucking dairy, and it is very competitive. But at the time, there wasn't a lot of competition. But it was a great experience. We loved it. We loved being at county fair. It was always super fun to be there because you're at county fair for a week, right? And you just get to play with your friends, and you are playing with your animal, and you obviously have to be there in the morning to clean out a pen. It is a lot of work. It is a huge commitment, but we did have great experiences with that. But I would recommend starting off with a project that's a little bit simpler. And then if your kid is getting to the point where, or try even processing, if that's where you want to get, is your kid wants to do a meat project eventually, I would definitely start processing animals on your own farm or have them involved with that somehow before you just jump in and give them a sheep or a steer or a pig, and then they have to say goodbye to that animal. And it is, like I said, it's super, super traumatic. Everybody has had their own experiences, but I've just seen too many kids be so upset, and it's just heartbreaking. So that being said, the mini members for 4-H, so you can technically start your child at 5 years old, which is awesome and super young. But they can only show certain projects, so they're not allowed to show like a steer. So there's certain things they can show at county fair, like your pygmy or Nigerian dwarf goats. So they have to be the smaller breeds. They can also show, I believe they can do rabbits, and I believe they can do poultry. I would have to check the rules again. But there are certain projects that they can show at fair, but they can't just do anything that obviously they're so tiny that it is... they could be overwhelmed in the arena, because they still have to go into an arena and show it in front of a judge with a bunch of other animals and other kids of that same breed, right? So you don't want them to seem like that, steers run away with them or anything like that. So they can't show a large animal until they're 8, and that's when they become, or it's 5 to 8, and then so when they're 9, they can do a large animal. So, and that's always fun too. There's still plenty of things for them to do when they're younger, and it does get them started on just learning how to work with animals, learning how to care for it, show it, all that kind of stuff. So it does definitely have its pros and cons on both ends. Sherry and her babies. She's just a ridiculous. She's just gonna. Okay. I was like, she's gonna trip over that. She's gonna drop her baby. It's gonna be awful. Oh, she's choking. You're choking your baby again. Stop that. Hold on. I have to shut this door. I'm sorry. Ugh. Oh well, it's fine. So
I'll lay down right now.
So yeah. So look up in your area where your 4-H project or club, 4-H club would be. If you're interested in FFA, you can always ask the high school that your kids go to or going to go to if they have an FFA organization there. And yeah, I think I said a lot of stuff.
Did you?
Yeah.
That's a good job. You have it going?
I think so.
Look at you, all by yourself.
I mean, I talked a lot. I'm thirsty.
So that's weird. It's a very weird thing to say. I talked a lot. I'm thirsty.
When you talk a bunch and you're like, I'm really thirsty.
Yeah.
No? Why is that a weird thing?
It was just funny to say.
You're funny to say. Anywho, if you guys have any specific questions, though, about 4-H or FFA, you can always email us and ask, or, get a hold of us somehow. Because, yeah, I know there's a lot more that goes into it. Obviously, and there's no, you don't have to, sign anything, or anything like that when you're joining a club. Oh, there's even a horse one too. I forgot to mention that.
Yeah. I mean,
horse project where their kids can they don't even have to own a horse. A lot of the times, whoever's running the horse project.
Yeah.
Thank you. Why am I was all I have in my head now is club.
Yeah.
But horse project, they even have sometimes, not always, have horses that they will lease out to you that you can use for the shows and they do different things with the horses. So if you're maybe curious about, or your kid's interested in horses, but they don't know anything about horses, and you don't want to just jump in and get a horse, it's a great way to start learning about them. So you can talk to your local club about that too. So it just kind of gets them started, like I said, and just learning how to care for animals or anything they're interested in. Like the amount of different projects they have is like unreal. Like you can think of anything and they'll have a project for it. Not necessarily at your club, or but like it is out there, or you can create a project for it. So it's kind of cool. They even have like really boring ones that I don't know why they even exist.
Yeah, that like no one's involved in.
They have like government, I don't even know, blah blah blah, and like how to do your taxes. Like it's like so weird to me. And I understand like life skills are totally important, you know. Like I get it, but like to do something 3 times a month, like that seems expensive.
I was gonna say doing your taxes. I don't even think it's a life skill. There's people for that.
There's even programs, computer programs.
You don't have to know. Like shit. I don't know how to do my taxes.
There's some of the weirdest projects that exist that somebody thought was a great idea. Cause, I don't know. They're probably like really bored with their life. They're like, we should make everybody else really bored too. Like I do not understand. I don't understand. But whatever.
Little baby.
I digress. So before we go, we want to do our shout outs.
Yes.
We wanted to shout out Lexi and Tegan and Megan.
Yep.
I also wanted to mention another one.
Tammy.
And our mom Tammy. Sorry, we love our mom. She's amazing. So Maddie, she is a listener on Our Kind of Homesteading, and she's also a patron over on our Patreon exclusive Porch Talk. She just got married.
Oh, that's right.
So a big congratulations to Maddie.
Definitely.
And and also thank you for your support over there too. But
awesome.
And on here.
Congrats.
Congrats.
Fun.
I saw her stuff on Instagram. I was like, oh my god! And she had like, it was like an at home, like totally cute little wedding. Like it looked adorable. She looked beautiful. So it was like a lot of fun. So that's kind of cool. And if you guys aren't Instagram friends with us, you totally should be, because then we can like see, not that we have to like look into your lives or anything, but, and you can always send us a message and be like, hey, I listened to you guys on, whatever. On Our Kind of Homesteading, like blah, blah, blah. And then we'll follow you back. So we don't follow back everybody because I'm always like weirded out about it. But if you tell us like, hey, listen to you guys, like blah, 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 we will totally follow you back. And then if you want us to, and then we can kind of get some, we have bonded a lot with a lot of different listeners.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
That is always fun.
That is fun.
And if you haven't checked out our Patreon, please do so. It's only $3 a month, and you get 2 episodes of us just having a good time and laughing and ranting, and it's just fun. It's a great time. It will brighten your day. You will love it. You should definitely check it out.
Yeah.
For $3 a month, it's like nothing. So please do that. It's patreon.com/Porch Talks with an S. Other than that,
thank you for listening.
Thank you. We hope we gave you some information that you needed for your children or future children, or yourself if you're still into that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyhow, thank you guys so much, and we'll talk to you next time.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.